Welcome back. I'm MTG Joe, and we're going to be wrapping up our series on the not, ultra budget, like mid budget, and no budget builds. So this is focused around the black-white Aristocrats archetype. So for those of you who haven't seen, so the whole goal of this is to build a couple decks, starting with something that's all like commons, uncommons, and then transitioning it into a like full no budget build. So we go step by step on how you can upgrade the deck. So the first two videos should be up already. The ultra budget that's using all uncommons and commons, minus the mana base, the mid budget, which is adding in about 10 rares, and then this non-budget. Uh, Sorry, one sec for the dog. Sorry about that for those watching live. So the deck itself this is the non-budget version. So what we're really doing here is we're moving into like a black-white mid-range, still playing around with the token theme. We still have afterlife threats, but we've upgraded them to like Tithe Taker, which taxes your opponent. This is very good against control, Esper, like the Nexus decks. Just makes everything they're doing cost one more. It makes like counter spells also taxed a bit more, which is pretty good. We also will now be playing, one card I've really liked is the Dreadhorde Invasion. So this is like a Bitter Blossom style card where we can play every turn, get either a zombie if they kill it, or just keep powering up one of our existing zombies. This is just a reoccurring threat that if we could get down on turn 2 is quite powerful. We've upgraded to 3 Midnight Reapers. We're going 3 Gideons, so this is a very good threat that's hard for control to deal with. It also can give our creatures lifelink, which plays around the life loss of Dreadhorde Invasion, and it can serve as removal as well. We have 1 Mortify, and then 2 cast downs as removal. Plaguecrafter serves as removal as well. We've gone up to 3 Seraph of the Scales, so we've just basically taken those smaller afterlife threats and made them a little stronger in terms of like the rare and mythic with additional abilities. We've gone up to 3 Sorins, I believe it was the same as in the mid tier, and then we're playing a couple Bontus. So I originally had a split of 1 Bontu, 1 Oketra, but I found the card draw was more valuable in this deck. There's been times where even if we don't have creatures to sack, I'll sack a land or two, depending on the board state, just to draw a couple cards. Or if you're flooding, you can just take out some of the lands. And then on the top of the curve, we have 1 Liliana. We draw cards as our creatures die, it creates tokens, and the sacrifice effect is quite relevant. And then 1 Ugin, same idea, creates tokens and can serve as removal. The rest of the mana base is pretty standard. Sideboard actually doesn't have too many changes. We just added 2 Karns. Again, versus control, this is going to give us some more bodies if we need to, but really just keeping our card draw going in those games. So the deck itself, like we're adding 3, 7, 8, I think 8 rares, 9 rares to the other build, and then 3, another one here, 4, 6, about 7 mythics. So it does get a little bit pricier for the non-budget version, and we are moving away from like just pure afterlife tokens. This gives us a bit more resiliency with recursive threats or just value creatures and planeswalkers. The one card that I have omitted here, and I usually get flack for, but I don't like it, is Priest of the Forgotten Gods. People think Aristocrats, oh, you need a sack outlet, you need a sack outlet. Our sack outlet is Bontu, but we don't really have creatures that we just want to throw away. The whole point is if the creatures die, like we've seen in other games, we'll get board wiped, but we still have creatures afterwards. It's just the reoccurring threats and the reoccurring pressure. Priest is an issue because it doesn't have haste. It's required to tap in order to sack. You need an existing board position. It doesn't apply pressure against, say, a Nexus deck. So you sack with Priest on turn 3 if you get a curve out of a 1-drop Priest on 2 and then something on 3. But Nexus doesn't have creatures, so you're not doing anything. You've just sacked your board position to draw a card. And we usually don't have too much to sink that mana into. Another one is Gutter Bones. I've really not liked it. It coming in tapped doesn't block when you bring it back. It dies to Chain Whirler, it dies to pretty much everything in terms of tokens, and it's just kind of cutesy more so than anything. Um, so I'll probably get comments, why no priest, why no priest? If we had something like Viserys or a Cartel Aristocrat where without paying mana at any time, even the turn we cast it we can sack, we would definitely be including it in this build. But overall it just feels slow, gets swept up by Carnarium. You can't even sack around Kari because it's until end of turn, so it just doesn't do much. So that's pretty much the explanation of the deck. With this one here, we'll play it for a couple games so you can see how it works. Um, I'm also going to post afterwards. So I have a very similar kind of deck in terms of the colors. It's a Black-White Knights deck. So I played it earlier in the week, and that's the deck that I'm ranking up with in the tier. So it's basically playing like Knight of Malice, Knight of Glory, Adonto Vanguard, History of Benalia, and then a similar top end of our deck with the Planeswalker package and some Eldest Reborn, and then Vraska's Content. It's a really grindy deck. It plays Mobilized District, or the land that becomes a 3/3. So this hand's pretty slow. Midnight Reaper's a redraw. Mortify. I think I'm going to mulligan. Okay, so we're missing a black source, but we have a play on 2. Opponent concedes, which isn't great. So we don't know what they're playing, so we'll run it back. But that Black-White Knights deck, it's been really good, just being able to take down. Okay, so opponent's just conceding. Let's run it back. We've been playing it. It's got good early pressure against Nexus. You play Mortify and Despark to blow up their Reclamations. And then you have like Sorin to bring stuff back. You have Gideons to put on a lot of like aggression. It's a really fun deck. I've really enjoyed that, and I've had the best. When I was playing on the weekend, I went from gold 4 to okay, well, we have lands. Midnight Reaper at the worst is a redraw. Don't want Bontu yet. Yeah. So let me know what you think of this version of the deck. Like, I know a lot of people have been playing others. You can play Teysa. But Teysa's kind of a win more card. Just want to get Wild Growth Walker off. Has a lot of value if they get it going. So we are broadcasting live right now on YouTube. Sorry, getting some background. Okay, so they're playing a Proliferate, so this might be... I'll probably take the block here just to draw a card, to be honest. Yeah, so we're broadcasting live on YouTube. We'll try to do that a bit more. I'll usually tweet out whenever I'm going live.
Oh, the day is yours.
Jeez, nothing but lines here. Okay, so at least we'll have Liliana next turn. She can protect herself right now. If they play out another creature, we could just down tick. They may just stop to proliferate.
How come to me?
Okay, so they get a branch walker. Wow. So you generally don't draw nothing but lands with this deck, but
Warrior Queen Necromancer.
guess there's always an exception to the norm.
Rise.
Just trying to figure
The
out.
wilds are my
You're like
shield.
crackling in the back. Okay, so them missing there is good for us. Probably gonna... Oh, jeez. planeswalkers.
Be taken down a peg.
So they'll probably downtick on Liliana.
As long as we win, nothing else matters.
Just make sure. If they target Liliana, we'll just scoop.
Crew,
Oh,
attack at will.
that's interesting. We'll take the card draw here. That's nuts. Play the Tithe Taker. Play out Liliana. We've drawn 10 lands. That's pretty sweet. And they ultimate it.
Your face right now.
This has Menace.
Your captain proud.
I'm gonna double block the Evolution Sage. I think we're dead regardless.
Everyone is expendable, except me.
Yeah, we'll just block here. It does have indestructible.
Waste not, want not.
They have the Branch Walker. And they draw Contempt. Rough.
That won't stop me.
So let's sacrifice 2 creatures
Get out of
here.
my way.
Draw 2 more.
They were a lousy servant anyway.
Just pass the turn. Our life total could become 1. They have the Menace. Yeah, we're dead. It's a pretty cool deck. Green, black, Proliferate. So here, Duress are good. It's going to be a grindy matchup, so you probably want Karn. Despark is good. Now, coming out, Hunted Witness isn't going to do a lot in this matchup. Dreadhorde's not bad. Gideon seems like more of a liability. Bontu. Yeah, probably just cut these and go down. Probably 1 Plaguecrafter. So the reason we're doing Plaguecrafter is they're not always going to have a clean board. Looks like they're playing a lot of the Explore package as well, so they'll just sack a creature instead of a Planeswalker. Despark can deal with some of the bigger stuff. What's with these hands? Come on. Okay, I'm just gonna wrap this one up. It's taking too long. It's the only downside of playing traditional play. Because there's no like onus of them not dropping rank, they tend to play slow. Test, test. Sorry, just had to switch the mic. So this is a good hand. We'll keep this. So opponent's likely on some sort of Phoenix list. So Niv. So I'm just gonna get Dreadhorde Invasion going. There was a play to play Tithe Taker, but it looks like they're main phasing their spells anyways. Next turn we'll play Tithe Taker out. And then play out Sorin. I usually like waiting on the Cruel Celebrants till we have a board position. Okay, so that's good. So play out the Tithe Taker. Play out Godless Shrine. Say go. So like a shock costs 2 mana here. Next turn we're gonna do Sorin, down tick, get Tithe Taker back. This is a game I wish we had Eldest Reborn main board. Just take their Niv. So opponents cut off blue, which is good. We're also going to take advantage of the fact they're not holding up potential counter magic. Get back Tithe Taker. Next turn we'll Cruel Celebrant and Hunted Witness. Morning, John. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so they shock there. That's fine.
I demand servitude.
Gain that life back. So I like the combination of Sorin and Dreadhorde Invasion. We lose the life, but we tend to gain it back. So they have Enigma Drake. So here I'm going to Cruel Celebrant. Cast down the Enigma Drake. And I think we got this game pretty much in hand. Second Celebrant adds a lot of redundancy. They can't really kill. Okay, so this might just be the splash for the Discovery half. They haven't really shown anything to suggest they're Grixis. And it seems like they're just missing some of the duels. Okay, so they Lava Coil there. So let's just play out another Celebrant.
I am whole.
It's probably worth us waiting on Sorin until we saw what they did. So you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we can play this for the 9th damage or Sorin for the 9th. Yeah, they're dead either way. Alright, so against Drakes. So they showed Niv. Just put in Mortify. I don't like Duress against a deck full of cycle effects. Karn's probably too slow. I like the Dreadhordes, like the cast downs. Probably just Hunted Witness. Doesn't really do much early game. Yeah, let's run it back. I think our main board's actually pretty well suited. We're playing best of 3 right now, John. So usually with these like series, I'll play best of 3. If it's like random brews that I don't think they'll be that good, or is kind of like fun decks that only kind of like the surprise factor, then I'll just play best of one. So waiting on the opponent here. It's a bit slower of a hand, but we have removal for the Drake, so we'll keep. Okay, so they lead on the mountain. It's fine. It's better than them leading on the island, where they'll usually have opt. Okay, so Midnight Reaper is good. At the very worst in a lot of these matchups, Midnight Reaper is just a cantrip for us that could potentially block. I like Gideon there. We're just going to hold this up in case they want to. The best play is if they play an aggressive Drake. Cast it down this turn, untap with Gideon. And then they'll have a hard time. So John, right now I don't have a really fixed schedule for streaming. I work a 9 to 5 usually, so I get in. I'll usually kind of notify online, but everything that I do play is always available on the YouTube channel. So you can always catch it afterwards. I'd rather get Midnight Reaper down here than the Gideon, just because they're more likely to hold up a negate than like an Essence Capture. And I'd rather this get countered than Gideon. Yeah, so going back, so I'm trying out YouTube to go live. Usually play in the evenings, so like around 6 Eastern time. Or on weekends, I usually try to play Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoons to get in some games. If there's anything you want to see, like gameplay-wise, feel free to drop comments. I'm trying to do a couple of these series of like ultra budget, budget, no budget builds. So if there's another archetype you want to see, then let me know. And then once we get some consistency, then I'll try to put up a schedule. So they killed that. Not drawing in a land kind of hurts there. Opponent's also not applying much pressure. I think we just jam the Gideon here. Okay, let's just jam Gideon, see what they have. Sweet.
I am here to aid in the assault. Your light will cleave the darkness.
Just quite a few times I forgot to uptick Gideon. So this is more of a game where we show, like, although we're creature based, we can play more of a control game. Us missing that 4th land is a little rough. But we do have a lot of answers for their Drakes, and then starting next turn we have 4 power a turn to start attacking into the opponent. We have a clean answer for Niv Mizzet as well, which I really like. That's not going to draw many cards. Okay, so here... I'm gonna attack in first. See if they block. Yeah, I think Drake's is a pretty good matchup for us. They're not putting out a lot of threats. Our answers are clean. They usually don't play legendary, so cast down usually always has text. We play Plaguecrafter, and then they have a hard time dealing with Resolve Planeswalkers. They don't have anything like Vraska's Contempt. Sorin can keep bringing back our creatures that die. And like you'll just get value. Like Liliana, if we get it down, we minus it, pretty much will wipe their board. And like this game, our opponents killed a couple of our threats. Here, I'm just gonna jam out the Seraph. Okay, So they had the Disdainful Stroke. So there is a chance they could kill Gideon now. So we got a little wrecked on that one. So they can shock Gideon, attack with Enigma Drake, kill it. Okay, perfect. So actually, so we're gonna attack first, see if they block with the dive down.
Prepare for battle.
I like the fact that Gideon has Indestructible, so you could just keep like pushing through damage. I wonder if this version's playing Saheeli. So here, I'm actually going to use the Plaguecrafter. I want to make sure we get rid of at least one of them from a dive down turn. And then we can play on their turn to get them to tap out then. Because even if they have the dive down, there's enough power to kill it. So we'll just do this on their turn. If they cast Niv, which they have the mana for this turn, we can cast it down. And then just Mortify it. Yeah, so they had the dive down in hand. Okay, so they had the Spell Pierce too. So they had the answers, but we got 2 cards out of their hand. It was a little aggressive on the dive down turn, I think. But they've just spent a lot of resources getting Gideon off the board. I'm gonna do this first, in case they have the Spell Pierce, and just get Dreadhorde Invasion going. Sorin can bring back Plaguecrafter as need be. See if they have another stroke. Okay, that's fine. Like if we get the Liliana down, it's game over. Okay, another Sorin's good here. Just keep jamming these out. Okay, so they've just had basically straight disdainful strokes. Surprised you see this many out of them. Usually you'll see negate. Alright, 3rd time a charm. You got another one? Alright, so they're the negate. Tithe Taker's tax effect with them having this much land isn't going to do much. See if they block here. So I'm just going to play Bontu. And they concede. Yeah, John, so I was playing, I had a version early when War first came out with Saheeli Drakes. There was a recent 5-0 with like an Is It Phoenix Wizards deck with like the Chemister, or the Electromancer, and the Merfolk that gets the one of top 3 cards. But I've liked Saheeli, I've played it a couple times. You usually see Saheeli paired up with Ral. So kind of the combo, but more just like incremental value. So I'm going to wrap it up for this morning. We got a couple games in with the deck. I'm going to be doing the full write-up on Reddit hopefully later this afternoon, comparing the 3 builds, so you'll be able to see everything there. Make sure if you are watching, if there's any other kind of these variations you'd like to see, whether it's another Saheeli Drakes list or anything else, just drop a comment in the video below. or we can chat on Twitter at MTG_Joe 2, the number 2. Thanks for those who tuned in live, and have a great day.